and welcome to this edition of the Davos View, our daily bulletin where we get you the best of our coverage from the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum 2025. And we kick off the bulletin this evening with a big voice from the world of artificial intelligence. We had a chance to catch up with Yoshua Bengio, Professor Yoshua Bengio, who's widely renowned as one of the three godfathers of AI. He's also a Turing Prize winner. Now, Professor Bengio is skeptical about whether AI systems, the rapid developments in AI, whether that has taken into account the current labor and job markets, and he feels that labor markets are not prepared for the disruptions in AI. He also spoke about how any country that invests in its AI systems is likely to have a geopolitical advantage when we asked him about whether India should look at LLMs or applications. Let's listen in.
There is a lot that we don't understand about these systems in particular. We don't know how we can control them so they behave according to the norms and instructions that we give them. We haven't also planned how to handle potential major labor market disruptions if these things happen in the coming years. These transitions take time and are global, and national social safety nets are not going to be sufficient. The countries that will have their own AI systems are likely to have a geopolitical advantage in the future. So we're seeing more and more countries willing, more and more governments willing to invest in their own autonomous development. That being said, the proliferation of very powerful AI systems in the future, which can be used as weapons, is also kind of dangerous in a way similar to nuclear weapons. So I think governments which decide to build their own systems also need to work on international treaties to make sure we don't do stupid things. The two main weaknesses of large language models are in terms of reasoning and planning, and also, if you want, bodily control like robotics. And on the first two, we are seeing a lot of progress, especially reasoning with, for example, OpenAI's O1 and O3 that are breaking through benchmarks on abstract reasoning and things like this. So those who think that the scaling, the progress is stopped, I think could be wrong.
From one global voice to another, now PwC has released its annual Global CEOs Survey. That's a fixture on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum every year. And this time, most global CEOs have painted an optimistic picture about the demand trends ahead. 60% of them are optimistic. In fact, Indian CEOs are even more optimistic. To find out about what's really driving this optimism, we spoke to PwC Global Chairman Mohamed Kande as well as PwC India Chairman Sanjeev Krishan. Let's listen in. The PwC CEO survey is one of the annual fixtures on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum here in Davos. And this time, there's a lot to be optimistic about, at least based on what CEOs feel. If I just, look at the first few lines. Nearly 3 in 5 CEOs are optimistic about global economic outlook, and about 60 CEOs expect global growth to increase over the next 12 months, up from 38% last year and 18% 2 years ago. That's a very optimistic take, and this is coming on the back of the World Economic Forum's chief economist survey just a few days ago, which actually expects a weaker global environment this year. So, Mohamed, how do you square, these two observations or these two findings?
As you know, we interviewed more than 4,000 CEOs to get the feedback on the global economic outlook. And we believe that when CEOs see the level of investment that is being made in industries like technology, in artificial intelligence, but also in energy transition, renewable energy, there's so much capital that is being invested into innovation that many of the CEOs know, and they've seen it before, that when you have that level of investment, of capital investment, there's always something good happen, new value will be created. And they all want to be part of the value creation. So they're optimistic that good things will happen because the money and the capital is being deployed today around the world.
And the global CEOs seem to still believe that in spite of all the tailwinds that India has had, we are still the number 5 destination behind Germany and China. And I think that's something to ponder over and reflect on because clearly US, UK, Germany and China seem to be still better in terms of investment opportunities for the global CEOs than India.
Right. What do you think is driving this? Because one of the pillars of the Modi government has been around ease of doing business. You know, that's been a cornerstone of their policy in the last decade. What do you think is missing? Is it the unpredictability? Is it the taxation structure? Is it labor laws? What is making global CEOs hesitant as far as India is concerned?
Well, I mean, let me first say that India has seen significant progress on ease of doing business rankings and others over the last few years. But, honestly, it cannot be looked upon as an absolute. It has to be looked as a relative. What the others are doing. I think, just as we would look at what competition is doing, that's how India has to do. I think there are 3 things which stand out to me. One is a certain amount of regulatory complexity. I mean, we have a federal structure, but the states possibly where the last mile approvals happen, at times there are delays, and maybe we could do a little bit better. They need to be possibly a little bit more in sync with the center in some ways. I think the second one really is infrastructure, right? I mean, in spite of, we have made significant improvements. I think we are much more competitive on manufacturing side as well, significant investments going there. But, I think on the logistics cost, I think there's still some work for us to do for Indian manufacturing to really not just manufacture for India, but for the globe. I think there's still work to do. I mean, even countries like Malaysia and, Indonesia in some cases are doing better on logistics cost and maritime efficiency and digital effectiveness and so on and so forth. And that's something for us to ponder over. And I think the third one is, I think we are at a stage of where there is need for hyper skill. Right, at the one end we have some Indian CEOs saying that they are missing skilled labor in their factories, and there are also many CEOs who are saying that they now need to reskill the tech workers to be able to now be at the cutting edge of AI and all the other things, including at what's happening in the Indian GCCs. And I think that's a severe need and will need capital, as Mohamed also said.
We also had a chance to catch up with another global voice, the COO of Zoom, Aparna Bawa. She spoke to us about how Zoom is very focused on India, how India is a very good lift-off market for any tech development or experiment from South Asia. Let's listen in.
We also have a couple development centers. We're in Bangalore, we're in Chennai. We have a go-to-market team in Mumbai. We have 2 data centers in Hyderabad and Mumbai. So the focus on India, I mean, India is one of the best jumping off points for Asia for any tech business. The power of the people is super strong. You have a great, ability for development. You also have a great customer base to tap into.
Moving on from global voices to some top voices from India Inc., we caught up with Amit Kalyani, the Vice Chairman and Joint Managing Director of Bharat Forge, one of India's leading manufacturing companies. Now, Amit Kalyani told us that Bharat Forge plans to get into the semiconductor space because they see niche engineering and manufacturing opportunities there. He also said that weak capital formation in India is a cause of concern and that the government must do something to spur growth in the next 3 to 6 months. That was his wish list from the union budget.
I think we need something that really spurs investment. I think capital formation is not at the level that you need to grow this economy at 7-8%. And that has to happen. So the budget has to create all these PLIs for batteries and semiconductors, they will show results 10 years from now. Okay, we need something that spurs the economy in 3 months and 6 months, not 10 years from now.
Great.
And for those products, largely the machines are all imported. The capex is all imported. So we need something that is going to put capex in the ground in India. So we've been working for the last almost a year on formulating a strategy to get into some niche semiconductor businesses which have applications in a variety of sectors, right from consumer to industrial to automotive to high-end defense. And hopefully, in the next, I would say maybe month or two, we should be able to make an announcement for that, because that's something that we see a huge opportunity and something that India needs to have in India.
Right.
Those are not things that you can import. From a
This will be through the PLI that the government has.
It will be through the PLI. I mean, we are talking to the government for this, but it's something which is a little unique, because we don't want to do the large, semiconductor play, which already there are enough people in. We want to do something, again, which is niche, but can be a global niche.
From Amit Kalyani to another candid corporate voice, we managed to catch up with Axis Bank's MD and CEO Amitabh Chaudhry, who spoke about how election freebies were hampering states' ability in India to invest in growth and development. He also said that a cut in interest rates may not just be the magic bullet that India needs at this point. Listen in.
I think government is fully aware of the fact that the growth is tapering off, and it is important for them to kind of deliver this growth. We also cannot ignore that in election after election, a lot of freebies are being promised, and it is in a way constraining the budget of the state governments to spend money, and we should be cognizant of that. Impeding growth is not the interest rate, right? So if you look at the inflation, which has been stubborn, and the inflation rate continues to remain higher than 4%, I mean just over 5%. Core inflation numbers are looking better, but I don't know whether the interest rate cut will really, spur investment in a big way. It might be a signal, and an important signal. I think more needs to be done on supporting credit growth. More needs to be done on improving the liquidity in the system, and I think that will be more important rather than just going and looking at an interest rate cut and hoping that things will pan out on their own. Now that's what our view is. Again, as I said, people know what they're doing, and they know what steps to take. I think RBI has already taken the first step to start improving liquidity a little bit.
A great mix of voices on the show today, but with that, we come to the end of this edition of the Davos View. Stay tuned for more updates from Money Control.